My name is Eric Scott, and I'm at Duke to get a Master's of Engineering Management. I came here by way of Rollins College, where I studied physics.
And my name is Femi Sokoya. I went to the University of Maryland College Park, go Terps, and I studied bioengineering, and I'm also in the Duke Master of Engineering Management program. So the first thing we want to do is solidify the definition of what we're going to be talking about as an expert and a non-expert. So everybody wants to be an expert. We're at Duke University, people studying really hard. Experts are the people who have that formal education or certified training in an area of subject matter. So these are doctors, lawyers, consultants, business people, the people who we really respect in society. And it's great that we respect them. They do a lot of cool things for us. But one thing that's wrong with being an expert is when you get this myopic view of the way you view your material because you're so close to it. You're always referring to it. You understand it. You see it all the time. And one way to combat this myopia is to use non-experts.
Now, these non-experts don't have the formal education or the certified training. They're generally earlier on in their careers and would have less knowledge about a particular field of study. But they don't use this knowledge deficit, and they don't see it as a problem. They see it as a way forward because they can ask questions with an open mind, and they can challenge the process. Now, non-experts are actually kind of hard to identify because they run under the radar, and when they get the attention of the press, they start to be called an expert. But we think that there are some great non-expert examples when you look at civil rights, such as Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Gandhi, Mother Teresa. And we'll give you a couple more that are more relevant to technology later.
So to sort of solidify this in examples, we want to use things that you're familiar with and you do every single day. So we're going to go through sitting, because you're doing that right now. You should be sitting properly. We're going to go through sleeping, and we're going to go through bowel movements or pooping. Okay?
All right. So first topic, sitting. Now we're talking about sitting, so I'm sure a couple of you're sitting up in your chair trying to get your posture right, but that's wrong, okay? It's wrong. It's the worst position that you can have when you're sitting down. And that's because if you're not engaging your core muscles, if you're not letting the back of the chair support your upper body weight, then all of it is going straight down your spine. And over time, this can cause back pain, and it can cause slippage of the discs in your back. The best position is actually leaning back and relaxing, okay, at 135 degrees. This lets your body straighten out a little bit, and it lets the back of the chair take some of that weight off of your spine so that you can sit more comfortably. So if you have back pain and you think it might be associated with sitting, first try leaning back, or better yet, don't sit as much.
The next thing we want to talk about is sleeping. Now, we used to sleep with the way the sun told us to sleep. When the sun went down, everybody else went down, but we didn't stay down. You normally sleep for 3 to 5 hours, wake up for a middle 1 to 2 hours, and then sleep for another 3 to 5 hours. Now, this is because it's something that's a protective mechanism for you. It also helps maximize your energy level throughout the day. This is what we call a polyphasic sleep cycle, and you can see a couple of examples behind me. But we now have this monophasic sleep cycle. We have a lot of tired people walking around every single day looking like zombies as they go to class. And this is because you're not maximizing your energy level with this sleep, non-sleep type of cycle. So if you feel that you're not having this energy, that you're not feeling safe, it's this advent of lighting that can be helping it. And you need to really understand it's not your back or your bed or your mattress sometimes. It's just the way you're not sleeping right.
Now our next topic. This is a little bit more touchy. I know it's a private topic, but we have to remember everybody poops, okay? So in the Western world, in the developed world, we use toilets. Now this is where all of our problems come from, because when you're on that toilet, you have your legs forward. It actually engages muscles in your legs that pull your rectum forward. It puts a bend in the pipe down there. So when you're trying to do your business, your body's having to work extra hard to make it all work. And over time, this increase in pressure can actually cause you to develop a fairly benign but surprisingly prevalent disorder called colon diverticulitis. Now look that up if you'd like to, but it is only present in developed countries with humans. Animals don't have this happen to them, and then people in more rural areas of the world, such as Africa, places in Africa and Asia, they don't have this problem because they use a squatting position. In the squatting position, it actually relaxes those muscles in your legs, it straightens out your rectum, and it makes everything faster and easier, and it leads to that more complete feeling, if you know what I mean.
So the questions we get when we present this type of material are, so what does this matter? Why does it matter to me? Do you do this? And how does it relate to a shrinking world, since that's the topic you're supposed to be speaking on? Well, we think it matters a lot, because these are things that you do every day you think you're an expert in. And now we're sort of showing you that you're not. You don't have that formal education or that training, but it's okay, you can do it. This information is also really easily to access just with a couple keystrokes and clicks of a mouse, so why haven't you looked at it before? Then the next thing is, do we do this? And obviously, we can't do this all the time. We can try some things with sitting, obviously, as you can. And we make sure we're trying to implement other things that we research in our daily lives, but it's hard because of all the modern comforts we have today. And the last question, how does it relate to a shrinking world? Well, we'd like to show you. So, innovation is a buzzword in business today, but it's something that is hard to understand. So we developed this innovation cycle with experts and non-experts to help. So new experts and old experts, they're the people who have the ear of the press. A lot of people are paying attention to them. They're really interested in what they have to say. They do really cool things for us. All right? But we have a whole lot of non-experts who are not being utilized to their full potential. And that's all of you in the room. You're not doing what you're supposed to do and challenging the status quo like we mentioned earlier. Well, when they do, we have these cool breakthroughs from future experts. Now, we see this a lot with basic laboratory research and incremental innovation, such as the iPhone. You see this with cool, sustainable technology and innovation. But we don't really understand what a non-expert does. What are they really doing for us? And this is one example. So, this is Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother. So this is a non-expert in a way that's not really benefiting society, but he's looking at the interest of everybody and saying, this is what's going on, this is the information, this is what I know, and challenging that in the status quo. Like I said earlier, it's not really benefiting everybody else, but there is a way that it can benefit other people if you're a non-expert. Here are a couple of examples.
So here are two great examples of non-experts. These have both been TED presenters before, and at a young age, they started asking questions and challenging the status quo, and we're all going to benefit from that. The first one in the upper left is Jack Andraka. By the time he was in high school, he developed a new test for pancreatic cancer. It only took 5 minutes to work, it was 90% effective, and it costs 3 cents. When Jack came up with this idea, he was sitting in a biology class where he was reading about all of these new cancer techniques. And he was actually told to not read and go back to doing his work. And another thing about Jack's story is that once he got the idea, he started sending out emails to professors at Johns Hopkins University. He sent out 200 emails before he received one single reply, allowing him to use the lab and to continue his research. So it just shows the disconnect between the experts and the non-experts sometimes. Now this next person up here in the bottom right, this is Ludwig Meerschain. He is from South Africa, and he's from Limpopo. It's an area of South Africa where water is a very valuable commodity. And if you do get it, you might not want to be using it on bathing. You would use it for other things. And so one day when he was with a friend of his and they were sunbathing, his friend asked a simple question. Why can't we stay clean without bathing? He didn't want to bathe anymore. And you know what? Ludwig liked that idea. He didn't like bathing either. So he went home and he got on Google and Wikipedia and he started to research this. He started to research diseases that you get and different ways you can clean yourself. And he developed a new product that is now in the world market called Dry Bath. And Dry Bath is like a lotion and also works similar to an antimicrobial hand wash. And you put it on your body and it keeps you clean for a period of time. And then you can reapply it, all without the use of water. And Ludwig's story started with a simple question. Now these two non-experts really fit into the shrinking world idea because they leveraged the internet. And that's really the big deal here, is that as non-experts, you might not have all the answers, but you're in much closer proximity to experts than ever before. You can find their knowledge out there where they've done research. You can ask them questions. You can maybe question things that they've done, or you can put forth your ideas, and then they can help you develop it. You can also crowdsource from other non-experts. And we think this is really special, and if you're going to be a non-expert playing the role correctly, this is what you got to do on the internet.
So we have a couple of suggestions. Some of these are just that we've developed trying to really understand how you can make a culture of non-experts who are really going to help with the innovation cycle and the society at large. So one is being able to develop a culture of asking questions. To do this, it takes people like us, you and me, being patient, being able to understand that we need to keep up with the barrage of questions we get from other people, and look at these challenges to our belief systems and the way we look at things as not just that simple challenges. We need to be smarter, educate ourselves more. That's why we're in school. And by doing this, we can think differently, and that can help enhance our creativity.
This creativity is key to innovation, and it's something that we want in all levels of our society at any age. But for some reason, it's something we start to lose over time. Because if you went into a class of 5-year-olds and you asked, who's an artist and who's creative, you would see hands go up all over the place because they're just so excited to tell you that they're an artist. But if you get those same group of kids later on in life and you ask them the same question, you'd see 1 or 2 weak hands go up. They're so afraid to be singled out as the only artist. So what are we doing between those two ages that's teaching kids that they need to let go of this inborn creativity. And Femi and I think that a lot of it has to do with an outdated model of a classroom, where you have one teacher or expert at the front, and then 30 or so pupils at the back, which are the non-experts. Now, if they're not having the correct sort of dialogue, a lot of times, if you don't agree with the teacher, you're almost wrong by default. Some other problems that teachers that are out of their control are things like an overemphasis on standardized tests, rote memorization, mechanical workbooks. Now, these aren't problems in and of themselves, but it's a problem if these are the only tools that we put in the tool chest of our students.
So one thing to do is get away from the textbook type of looking at the way we educate people. And that's not only academically, but also professionally. By using manuals and textbooks, we're getting into this vision where there's expert repositories of knowledge. And looking at the world this way, it means we're not really looking at the outside examples from where we can get real information. So one thing is to also make sure teachers are being interesting, where it's not just a textbook, it's not just a workbook, they're really engaging with their students. Because when their students get interested, they do things like we did from our innovation management class and sort of tie it into a different topic. And by being interesting, you're gonna get the real conversations that make a difference in society.
These conversations are key, and it's obvious their value to all of us. At every age, in all different walks of life, such as the classroom or in the business world, conversations help us develop ideas, challenge status quo, and just communicate and enjoy the company of others. But like Femi said, if something interesting happens in the classroom, students are going to talk about it outside the classroom. They're going to continue that learning process there, and it makes the job of the teacher that much easier.
So, two things we're going to leave you with that you can do is one, change the way you describe things. So, instead of looking at something and saying, this is a water bottle, it's a sort of a cop-out. You're not really describing it. Say it's a cylindrical shape, it has a white cap. There's a blue ribbon around it that has some information on it. By doing that, you have to be creative. When I talk about Eric, I don't just say his race, age, gender, ethnicity, education, and accomplishments. I really talk about the way he thinks, and I can talk about the way he smells, right? This is something that's really gonna change the way you sort of enhance your creativity and inspire people to be creative in the way they listen to you, as well as inspire them to be creative in the way they describe things in their life.
To get to that creative way of describing things, of old things, you probably have to start by asking more questions. Asking questions opens your mind up to new outcomes, new possibilities, new information. And if you're not asking those questions, you're essentially closed off to those. You're stopping the learning process by not asking questions. And if you're going to be a non-expert in the way that we're talking about, and you're going to try to bridge that knowledge deficit between you and all those experts out there, you've got to start with questions. Smart questions. So we just like to leave you with two last things. Ask more questions and
Be a non-expert. Thank you.